The next thing we need to do with our model is to put the sub fascia on. Those are the boards that go at the end of the overhangs, and they will tie into our barge rafters that we put on last time. Okay, we should have those all the way around the house now on all the gables. We had the lookouts. So we've got those all done. So let's work. I'm going to start working with the back of the house, and when we put the sub fascia on, we'll be able to see how we're going to connect these trusses at the ends. So let's find our piece of roof framing material and bring it up here. And I'm going to set it right here for now. Now all I did is just set it flush with the bottom of the truss. The problem is if I left it there, the plywood would come on and would actually hit the sub fascia at this point. One way we can see that is to put a guideline in. See how that guideline cuts through the sub fascia? Now we could trim that board and cut that piece off so that the plywood can come all the way out. But probably the best thing to do would be just to lower that down so that it would be at the same plane as the top of that truss there. So one way we can do that is to move this board. And we'll just take it and move it in a vertical direction. So we hit that line. Now we have it at the correct height. So if when the plywood goes on, it'll come right out to the edge and it won't interfere with the sub fascia at all. Now that drops that down just a little bit below the bottom of the top chord of the truss, but that's okay. That's a good look. When you look at it from the outside, it looks nice and clean. And so that's where we want this one to be. Now, I do want it to come all the way out to this rafter though. So I'm going to move it along the red axis. And I'm just going to take a look at where we're ending up over here at the end. Okay, I can see that we're going to be cutting that off because you need to end it right at the overhang of a truss. So it would be perfectly acceptable for me to, yeah, I see how that went into the rafter a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the push-pull feature, and I'm going to pull it right over to the face of that rafter. That way I know that it's right on the face and it isn't any further. Okay, so I'm at the face there. I need to make this piece end at the center of that truss. So I'll push it back to the center, and I'll be able to put another piece on there and continue that sub fascia all the way around. But let's take a look at how we're going to treat this end over here. We need this to tie together real well. It looks like, looking at the different, it hangs down a little bit low there, and at the top, looks like it's flush at the top. That's a good sign because that's where the plywood's at. And we want it to be flush right there at the top. Okay. So I think that's going to work out fairly well for us. We do need to cut this off and then decide how we're going to treat the underside. But for now, so let's double click on this one to make it a group. And I'm going to draw a line that goes vertical to the bottom. Then I'm just going to push that out and it'll cut that right off. Okay. And then the only thing you have to decide is what you want to do with that little nub down there. Personally, I like to cut that off also. And so I'm going to do that by drawing another line. I'm still in the edit mode. And so I'm going to draw a line across here, push pull, and push that side out. Okay. Now it's not required. You don't have to necessarily trim it off that way, but I think that looks good. It's nice and clean. And even though there's a little bit of a triangle here. I think that's okay. That gets us even at the top where the plywood needs to go, and trims it off at the bottom so that it's the same size when you look at it from this direction. Now, another thing that you can do that might even be better is to pull this piece out to the end like that, and then you can cut the other piece back. So we can take this piece and push it back. Actually, that's not going to work out because we've trimmed it off. Okay, well, we can certainly draw another line from here, go straight up with it. Okay, push, pull, and we can push that thing out. Let's see how to do that. We can push it all the way back till it disappears. Okay, that way, that's not a bad looking, and it's very clean here, looks just like the rest of them. And once you put your plywood on, the only thing you'll have is just a little bit of a triangle here. It won't be covered, but it'll be covered with your fascia material. So I'm going to vote for that to be a good way to end those sides. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now what we need to do is we need to put our little 2x pieces on top, and they're just going to be little pieces that are going to sit right in here. It'll look just like this overhang from the, from here out. It'll face nail to this lookout, and it'll come down and end with a plumb cut on the sub fascia, just like that. Okay, so we just need to do this all around the house, and then we'll be ready for plywood.